Greetings friend and welcome aboard. Today we will be reviewing the Technica ATH-M50, and it seems like everybody and their brother has reviewed this headphone over the last few years, and rightfully so. I mean, it's still relevant. There are better options out there nowadays, but I will never trash this headphone like a lot of people like to do. I don't know why. It's not a perfect headphone, but it's proven to be very good for me over the years. I've had it since January of 2013, so just about 5 years. As of this video, it's November of 2017, so 5 years in January. And it's held up remarkably well for me. The sound is still good, but there are some glaring deficiencies with the headphone, which we'll get into soon. So, it's a closed back circumaural with a 38 ohm impedance, a frequency response of 15 Hz to 28,000 kHz. It's made of plastic, faux leather, and metal, and it comes in black. The 50X's come in different colors, all subject to change depending on, the time and the season, but the original M50s only came in black. I'm pretty sure, about 199% on that. So the cable on the original was not detachable, as you can see, but the 3.5mm jack was just amazing. This thing, near indestructible. It had that awesome strain relief, and it was extremely solid. The jack on the 50X's is not like this one, and I'm not sure why they decided to make it. I think it's kind of plasticky, if I remember correctly. I demoed my friend's model a couple years back, and it didn't have that indestructible 3.5mm jack, but it comes with a 1/4" adapter, pretty standard. And yeah, let's get into build quality. So these guys are pretty remarkably built. Like I said, I've had them for 5 years, and because they're so flexible, oops.
Because they're so flexible, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this, you can do straight up just like that, you can do, what else? You can do that, so you can rotate them pretty much any way you want them.
Which is, I think it's contributed to their durability. The M40X's cannot rotate or move in nearly as many ways, and I think that was one of the main concerns with that headphone, which I have it right back there. People reported it, snapping in certain places because the ear cups on that one didn't rotate as much as they do on here. But this thing is it's rock solid. I mean, you could do stuff like that. I wouldn't call it indestructible. It's probably not as solid as the... Oh, I have it on my head. It's probably not as solid as this. Like, I really can abuse the crap out of these. And I've talked about these in like almost every one of my videos because they're so freaking awesome. But yeah, I mean, I just really abuse that, and it's just fine. The M50s are similar, but I wouldn't like slam them down really hard because something's liable to break. I mean, I've been pretty lucky with these guys, but I do think their build is absolutely phenomenal, which is one of the best qualities about them. The cable it's kind of long for my taste. That's why I rubber banded it up because I used to wear these out a lot, but I wouldn't call them very portable. They're marketed as studio headphones, but it's one of the things that irritates me about the marketing on these is that they're not studio headphones at all. I would consider these a high-end consumer headphone. It's something that the majority of the population will just be completely amazed by, like I was when I first put them on. You may be wondering about these ear cups. These are the Brainwaves HM5s, and I like them. They're extremely comfortable. They open up the soundstage a lot on the M50s. I do think the M50s had a pretty good soundstage for a closed back. A lot of people will disagree, but when I first put them on, I would hear stuff going on the outside, and I thought it was coming from the outside, but it ended up being part of the song, which I thought was pretty amazing. And one of the things that blew me away about them, the HM5 pads, like I said, they open up that soundstage, but it subdues the bass a lot, and it actually makes the treble, the already bright treble, become not unbearable, but there's a definite peak spike at 9K, and I would recommend EQing that down by a few decibels for sure, because they have a tendency to become very SE at times, and revisiting them before this review only magnifies that issue. I mean, it's one of the only glaring issues in my mind. I talked with Metal571 about the bass, and he thought it was, the mid bass hump was a little bit unnatural, and it is, but it doesn't take away, in my mind, it doesn't make the bass sound bloated or artificial. They still have plenty of impact, and one of the main reasons why they're still relevant and still good is because the bass is crisp, it's tight.
But that's not what we're talking about.
We were talking about build quality, so I apologize. So yeah, build quality, I would say A plus. I haven't had one issue with these, and they've been through a lot. I mean, I would carry these around with me everywhere. I'd throw them in my backpack, throw them in my laptop case, to school when I was in college. I mean, it was just, they've been through a lot, and the fact that they've come out on top is just remarkable. It's gonna make me cry. So, comfort. Comfort is, with the original pads, it was good. I mean, I used to mix a lot with these in the wee hours of the morning, and I didn't really have a problem with them, to be honest. Maybe it's because I feel like when you have headphones on and you're like, yeah, these are so comfortable, and then you think about the comfort factor, and all of a sudden you start to notice them. So it's sort of like a psychological thing. Like if you put your headphones on and you don't think about it, I think any pair of headphones can be comfortable. But as soon as you start thinking about it, you're like, oh, these are kind of irritating me, and then you take them off. But for the most part, I would say these are very comfortable. With the Brainwaves HM5s, they are magnificently comfortable, of course, because, I mean, that's velour. So, yeah, comfort, I would give an A. Well, maybe B+, because you're going to have to adjust them every so often. They're not perfect. Let's see, you got the headband adjustment, which is nice. It's metal or steel, one of those. I don't really know. Not 100% on that. And yeah, I actually, with the ear pads, the originals, they will crack and peel and harden over time, so that's just something that you're gonna have to accept if you purchase these, which is, I mean, it's pretty standard for most headphones. They will break down over time in some form or fashion, but yeah, luckily the pads are replaceable, and so you can easily get another set for around 20 bucks. You can get these, which I wouldn't recommend the HM5 pads if you want the full breadth of how good these sound. I would recommend just going with the standard replacements, and I'll link my review in the video description below, but to the review, and also there's a link in there for the standard replacements. So yeah, comfort is good, but just be aware you'll have to make some adjustments. So how do they sound? How do they sound? Well, like I said, the treble, there's a spike at 9K, which is kind of a little bit harsh. It can be harsh at times. Like revisiting these and putting them back on and listening,
I got a weird feeling from them.
and I think it's because of the pads. Honestly, the pads will open things up, but it kind of tinkers with the sound signature a lot, more so than you would think. The bass, like I said, the bass to me never sounded artificial or boomy or muddy like a Beats, original Beats iteration. Anything 2011 to 2013 in the Beats line was just bloated and messy, but I never got that feeling with the M50s. The mid-range is not, like a lot of people say it's recessed or pushed back, but it's really not. It's the treble and the bass give the illusion that the mid-range is recessed, but looking at a graph, it's not at all. It's actually pretty elevated, and yeah, it's a very V-shaped signature. I mean, there's a lot of humps and bumps and peaks and valleys and stuff, so it's not a balanced headphone by any stretch, and it's really not supposed to be. But you know, it's still a good headphone, and I'm never gonna just outright trash it. I mean, I myself, I prefer a more balanced signature these days. I still listen to rap and hip hop, but not as much as I used to. I'm more of I listen to a lot of jazz now, a lot of classical, a lot of indie pop, but I still listen to instrumentals and beats and stuff like that. So there's still a place for these, regardless of what anybody tells you. And they sit at a really good price point too. It's a comfortable range, and so I would still recommend these. But so quickly to end this, I'm just going to compare them with the 50Xs. The only differences are that the 50Xs have a removable cable. They come with there's a choice of different colors, which is all subject to change. In the earlier days of the 50X, you had crazy stuff like red, white, forest green, blue, but you know, that's all gonna vary from time to time, and I think as of now there's gunmetal and white and black, and I think that's about it. But yeah, that could change at any time. Also, the 50Xs have contoured ear cups that supposedly seal tighter for improved isolation. I always thought the 50s were pretty good at blocking out sound, but apparently the 50Xs are a little bit better in that regard. Like I said, I tried the 50Xs, and by and large the sound is pretty much the same, and everything is pretty similar. And the last thing was that they added some bass, and I couldn't really tell a difference, but I'm sure in some respects there's a little bit more bass on the 50X, but like I said, it's almost negligible in my opinion. So yeah, I think that's about it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this Audio Technica ATH-M50 review. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think, what you would like to see in the future, and yeah, I will talk with you all next time. Bye.